Christmas is just around the corner, and we all want everyone to have a safe holiday and not what you see in this picture. But if we're not careful with basic things like Christmas lights and other decorations and even candles, it can be nasty. So to prevent a disaster from happening, Flint Deputy Fire Chief Carrie Edwards Clemons advises you to not place any candles anywhere near your Christmas tree, regardless if it's live or artificial. With your Christmas lights, make sure they're UL rated, have been tested, and all are working. She also says it's important to read the manufacturer's directions when dealing with Christmas lights on your tree, to not have a continuous string connected, and to plug your lights directly in the wall or a power cord. Another point Edwards Clemons says you should know when handling Christmas lights is that some are made for inside use while others are designed to be outside. So if you're purchasing lights for your tree, make sure to pay attention to the box's instructions. Edward Clemons says you should also unplug your Christmas lights when you leave your home and take them down once the holidays are done.
A lot of our residents do follow those guidelines, and they do turn off the lights and blow out the candles when they leave. But for those that don't, we do see an increasing number of electrical fires due to that, or if the tree is close to a heat source. So make sure you're 3 feet away from any heat source.
Is trying to get more people vaccinated against COVID-19, and thanks to a ruling late Friday from a federal appeals court, this mandate from President Joe Biden, it can now go into effect. The vaccine mandate will start January 10th, and it applies to businesses with 100 employees or more. Employees will be required to get a vaccine or undergo weekly COVID-19 testing. Groups are appealing this, though, in the Supreme Court right now. Mid-MichiganNow's Courtney Bennett. She's been following this vaccine testing mandate. Courtney, what did you hear from business organizations about this?
Stephanie, today I spoke to business leaders, and they say that they're hearing from employers. They're worried about this mandate when it comes to the vaccine and testing policy coming down from the federal government. Right now, they're telling their employers that they represent not to panic. Right now, this vaccine mandate testing policy will go into effect on January 10th, but that could all change. Right now, there are appeals going to the Supreme Court, but it's up to the highest court to decide on if they want to hear this case or not. Right now, these business leaders are recommending that these businesses prepare for the vaccine testing mandate for January 10th. The president of the Small Business Association of Michigan, Brian Calley, says based on the state data, the spread of COVID-19 in the workplace is very small amount. He says that they are for vaccines but against mandates. The association has about 1,400 members they represent. The Michigan Occupational Safety and Health Administration gave us this statement in November on the mandate. In quotes, MIOSHA is required to be at least strengthened as the federal OSHA standard, but no intent of going beyond that. The intent is to adopt the identical rules and requirements contained within the federal OSHA ETS. MIOSHA will continue to outreach to employer and employee communities on these rules, and Michigan employers with more than 100 employees should be prepared to implement the standards requirements. The Small Business Association says they are hearing concern from the business community who are already struggling to find employees.
There's a big concern not only of the vaccine mandate losing employees, but also losing productivity because of testing. We all know that that our system for testing is already strained to the max even before we have a weekly testing mandate that goes into place. And the notion that in this competitive environment that workers would get the test at their own expense and on their own time is wholly unrealistic.
The decision was actually pretty split for city council members on whether or not to give city essential workers that hazard pay. Some actually wanting to have it out before the holidays, and others voting to have more information and take a little extra time.
Very disappointed in this administration and in this council not to give essential workers pay prior to the holiday.
Eric Mays continues to support giving essential city workers hazard pay and wants it done this week. Councilmember Quincy Murphy disagrees, saying everyone should get a cut of the money.
When I look at essential workers and these ARPA funds, when we're talking about even voting on its compliances. These ARPA funds and essential workers is not only just the city of Flint workers. And all due respect to all of the city workers that may be listening, you're not the only essential workers in the city of Flint that Councilman Murphy is looking at.
Murphy also says he's taking Kroger workers, ambulance drivers, and other people who worked throughout the pandemic into consideration when he thinks of ARPA funds. Those who oppose Murphy argue those workers don't fall under city-paid employees.
I think that was a tragedy. I think it's kind of embarrassing to me as it relates to members of this council and the administration who wouldn't give people money, essential workers, prior to the holiday for them and their families.
And others saying more information is needed to make a decision.
My whole thing was I don't want to just give them something, but I want to give them what they deserve. So I want to give them the maximum that we can give them.
According to Councilwoman Ava Worthing, the council actually voted to dismiss the hazard pay. Now, coming up on January 5th, the city chief financial officer is set to bring more specifics on exactly how much and what they can spend ARPA funds on.